For lesson 4.4, we're going to use our information about the equation y equals mx plus b to answer some questions. Remember, m stands for the slope, and b stands for the y-intercept. So let's see what we have. In questions number 1 through 3, they want us to find the slope and y-intercept of the graph. So we need to make sure that it's in y equals mx plus b form. So we look at question number 1, and it is written in y equals mx plus b form. So the number in the m spot is the slope, and the number in the b spot is the y-intercept. So we write that the slope m equals -3. You can write -3 over 1, or you can just leave it as -3. And the y-intercept, the b value, is the 0.09. Now what that means, that you put a dot at the 0.9 on the y-axis when you go to graph this. And then you would count down 3, right 1. But we're not graphing right now. If you look at question number 2, you can see it's not written in slope-intercept form because it says y equals mx plus b. So I'm just going to rearrange everything, but you don't have to. Y equals -2/5 x plus 4. I'm just rewriting it in a more familiar form. So now when I go to find the slope and intercept, the slope is -2/5. That means you would go down 2, right 5 if you were graphing it. And the y-intercept here is the 0.04 because that's what's in the b spot. Okay, in the third question, we definitely don't have it in y equals mx plus b form because the y isn't even by itself. So we have to move this 6 over to the other side. So I'm going to do that by subtracting 6. And I get y equals 8x minus 6. So now as I look at my form and I look at my equation, it is in y equals mx plus b form. Even though it has a minus, it's just plus a negative. So the slope would be 8, or 8 over 1, and the y-intercept would be 0, -6. All right, let's use this skill to graph. So in order to do that, I have to identify the slope and intercept. So in this equation, first I check that it's in slope-intercept form. So see, it's in y equals mx plus b form. So the m is 2/3, and the b is 6, or 0.6. So what that means is I'm going to put a dot on the y-axis at 6. Ugh, I can't fit it. So this graph is completely not useful at all. So let's make our own. So I'm going to make a grid, and that's my y-axis, that's my x. Okay, that should be good enough. So I'm going to put a dot at 6 on the y-axis. So now I have that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's my dot. Now, 2/3 means to go up 2, right 3. So that's like somewhere over here, kind of. Now, I don't have any more space, so let's go down 2 and then left 3. That should be good enough because I'm not on graph paper, so it's not really easy to make the dots. So I make my line, y equals 2/3 x plus 6. All right, let's check out the next one. It's not in y equals mx plus b form because the y is not by itself, right? Y equals mx plus b. That's totally not what it looks like. So in order to do that, I need to move the 10 to the other side. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides, And the equation that I get is y equals negative 5x plus 10. So now it is in y equals mx plus b form. So now I can go and graph. But before I do that, I need to know the m and the b. So the m is negative 5, or negative 5 over 1. And the b is at 0, 10. So now I go to graph. Well, that's very sloppy. So now we go to graph, and this graph is also not helpful at all. So let's make our own. So yx, make some dashes. All right, here we go. I'm going to start by putting a dot at 10. That's right up here. Now the slope is negative 5 over 1. So that means to go down 5, right 1. And let me just do that one more time. Down 5, right 1. So that's a pretty steep line. Negative 5 is a relatively steep slope. So not really that great, but a little sloppy, but I wish I were on graph paper. And now I'm going to write y equals negative 5x plus 10 next to the line.